Hi everybody, my name is Makai, and I'm in the online section of CIS 111B. And Professor Martin suggested that I just create a little video to show how I tested out the note class, particularly two things, just about creating a GUI and about the MIDI class. So I'll play the app, show you the very simple things that it does. It's got a button. Click me, and then it plays a note. Start with A440, and it'll just count up till I play a whole octave, and then starts back over at A. Print the note name and what octave it is and the frequency. So what this is, the main method is just a class that creates this frame. I'll start at the beginning and say, this is Java Swing. The Swing GUI, comes with it. It is a windowing toolkit, and here are the sort of simplest things that make it up. The main frame, this that has the title bar, test musical note, is a frame. And you pack things to put in the frame by putting them in panels, and then add the panels to the frame. And I'll put this in the order that I actually sort of should do it. Create a frame, give it a name. Create a panel to put into it. Put into that panel a text label and a button. I'll set the text on the label and on the button, and then I'll add them to the frame. Then I have to do this sort of final bit. I always have to take the frame and add it to the content pane of the main frame. Sorry, I should take the panel and add it to the main frame. And then pack them. There's another method that's called validate that gets them painted on the screen. And then this set default close operation means that when I close this window, the application will terminate. The bit that connects the button to the firing of the note is here. And that is performed by adding an action listener to the note button to catch the action performed event. And I supply an instance of that class here. And what it does is to call a method in the MIDI helper class, which I wrote. And I'll show you that in just a moment. It's here. And then it fires up a synth and plays a note. And then once I've got a note and play it, I can retrieve its text and update this label with it, and do that each time that you click the button. Of course, to know what the last note was when this was fired, I need to have an instance of the note that I'm playing. And I think I did that using a static method, sorry, a static variable in the MIDI helper class. See, I designed this kind of wrong. When I'm firing it off, I'm actually calling a static method play something. So that means I have to have static data so that I can keep information around. What I really should have done is to make this construct a new instance of this object, to say new MIDI helper, and then I could tell the MIDI helper what note to play. But that's sort of beside the point. Anyway, the synth itself, this stuff is MIDI is kind of interesting. It was created as a serial interface between physical synthesizers. That is, a drum machine, your Roland synth, and a standalone sequencer that acted like a multi-track recorder would have. To play the instruments, and you would actually capture the audio separately, using multi-track audio. So, when computers took over everything, MIDI is still the way that notes are specified, because that specification is fairly complete, and it allows you to construct notes, sequence of notes, specify instruments, etc. So all of that stuff is supported in Java. And I'll say what I'm doing here in the play something method is to create a synthesizer directly and then feed it notes. The long form way that's presented in the Java tutorial on MIDI does this by creating first a sequencer and giving it series of notes and then playing them back. But we can skip the message passing layer and just play things directly. Hey, we're playing it in real time. So create a synthesizer. From the MIDI system, actually, it has a static method that will supply one. It's kind of a factory pattern. And you get, it took us a long time to start up. I wrote just a real quick test here, and it took almost a second every time that I create one of these and open the stream. That's really the long method. So if I redesign this class, I would avoid calling that more than once. Anyway, once you've got a synthesizer, you can find the channels that it has, and it will return to you an array of MIDI channels. Most default synthesizers have 16 channels, and each one can be set up as a multi-timbral, like a polyphony, to multiple note, multiple timbre synthesizer. So you actually have 16 synths, each of which can be the recipient of a stream of notes from a sequencer. So the other thing I have to do is once I have a synth and I can talk to it on a channel, I have to know that there are instruments loaded. So I get them, I retrieve the array of instruments, and if I can do a load instrument on that array, then I'm ready to play. So all I do then is from my local variable of a note, that this is my note class, right? Like just to store a pitch and frequency, etc. That was the homework. I set its note value, the note to play here, which for me is just start with A440. And this is just a routine to go through it each time you play it. I'm going to look back up at what the last one was and increment and play another note. But once I've got a note, and that's really the easy part, is I call its get MIDI note number. That's just a method I wrote to convert our A440 into MIDI numbers. And so I just get a note, which is just like an integer, and I give it a volume. That's how loud to quote hit the key. And with an integer and a volume, I say note on, and it just plays that note until the note naturally fades away. And that's it. That's all it took to do. There you go. So just to conclude, in the note tester, this GUI, what's happening each time I hit that button is I'm firing this action performed event. And then it just calls that play note stuff I just showed you in MIDI helper, and then repaints the text. I have to set label, set text on the text label that I created here. And I just set it with the new text from the note when I ask the note, what are you? The dot get note text, which I probably should have written as the toString now that I think about it, and overridden that. And then I just cast MIDI helper to string, I suppose. Anyway, great, there you go. Thanks, bye.